Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Open Up live talk show. My name is Sivam Velaidam, and I am the founder and president at Voice of Men 360. Let me share a brief intro about Voice of Men 360 and International Men's Day and why this talk show, Open Up, is important and what is it about. Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization founded in 2020 and is based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men 360 organization was born out of seeing a tremendous need and stepping up to help provide services to help support and overcome men and boys' life challenges. We are part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving over 21 years, and so far 90 countries around the world joined together and doing various activities regularly. IMD follows six pillars, which is the overall well-being of boys and men. We follow in the same 4 steps. Why open up? Or what is it open up? Because we men do not open our hearts and willing to share our matters with anyone. When we keep our emotional challenges within ourselves for a longer time, at some points it will explode and it will affect our health conditions in many ways. That is why we want to create an open space and allow an individual to share their life journey through our platform. We aim to create awareness about the life challenges, struggles, overcomes, ups and downs that our boys and men go through lives in their lives. There are no limitations with the gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. With sharing your life journey, all walks of life can participate. Our goal is to make a positive impact on someone's life through this program. Open Up is on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We bring an individual to share to each show and let them share their life experiences with you. Before I introduce our special guest for today, I would like to go through our disclaimer. We would like to remind you that Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with good faith toward peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers, do not represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness to the issues of men who wishes to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episodes or any Voice of Men 360 content, please email us info@voiceofmen360.org. Our special guest, Jackie Simmons, TEDx speaker, radio show host, international best-selling author, emotional resilience master, co-founder and director of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. Jackie Simon is best known for her mission to wake up the world to the power of emotional resilience. Blinded by her blindsided by her 14-year-old daughter's suicide attempt in 1995, Jackie entered a world of depression, addiction, medical mysteries, and deadly silences. The journey into the world of mental health services and cultural taboos left Jackie feeling lost and alone. I am fine on the outside. Jackie hid her deep physics, psychic wounds behind a facade of frantic entrepreneurial activity. Then on August 3rd, 2019, Jackie's now 37-year-old daughter broke the silence. Jackie calls August 3rd the day her purpose tapped her on the shoulder. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. I really appreciate being on the show and I appreciate the introduction. That was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today and willing to share your life journey. Let me take you back your childhood. Uh, can you share what was that the influence or inspiration? Where would you get? Where did you start your life journey? Go back to your childhood, 5,
All
10,
right.
15 years old.
All right, let's talk about the role of a dad in my life journey. I'm going to pull this together for everybody really quickly. I was born at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. That's a clue. My dad was in the Army. At 6 months, the journey from Kentucky to California. At about 4, the journey from California to North Carolina. At 5, the journey from North Carolina to Okinawa, which is where I started school. What's hysterical is that I'm partnered with a man who was born and raised in the Bronx. And my guy, Mark, went elementary school through high school with the same group of people. I went to kindergarten on 2 different continents. That was part of the legacy from my dad. But there's another part of the legacy. In 1965, we, meaning my mom and my 3 older sisters and me, we came back to the United States because my dad was going from Okinawa to Vietnam. It was 2 years before I saw him again. Oh my goodness. We're driving around, Dad's driving, all 4 of us girls are in the car. The car it's a convertible, big old, what was shoot. Yeah, it was one of those, the Thunderbird, that big car. And what was hysterical is that we were all talking at the same time. So it was all about schools and skinned knees and arguments with mom and all trying to catch him up as we're driving to a cookout. And suddenly, my dad slammed on the brakes, hauled on the wheel. The car bounced up on a curb. I'm thrown to the floorboards. My sisters are piled on top of me. My dad's on top of all of us, braced. And in our ears, the sound of a firecracker. It was the 4th of July, 1968. My dad was just back from Vietnam. What happened that day as I was face down in the carpet with the air forced out of my body was that I realized my daddy didn't come home. A soldier came home. And in that moment, I became afraid. I became afraid that something would trigger that for my dad again. And what I didn't realize at the time and didn't realize until I was working with veterans was that 2nd generation post-traumatic stress disorder is real. And that was my experience. And the reason I know that it's real was that when I started working with veterans, I was actually asked, I teach entrepreneurs how to sell, how to network. I got asked to come in to the local veterans support group to help veterans who were job insecure learn how to network. And so I was on the top of my game. My book about business networking had just been published. I was super excited. I walked in, and the first veteran who came to shook my hand, and he had blue eyes, and the smell of Old Spice filled my head. And suddenly, I was back in that car in 1968. All that time vanished, and I was there with my face in the carpet. 30 years of stress management training is the only reason that I could take a deep breath and continue on and give a talk. I don't know how great it was, but I was able. And I'm grateful for that experience because it led to informing me about what PTSD really is, because up until that moment, I really didn't know. It was just initials. That experience, unfortunately, occurred, the experience with the veteran occurred after my dad had already passed away. What it did for me was give me an amazing appreciation of the strength of that man. His ability to come back from those wartime experiences and provide any sense of stability when I saw him was a testament to his strength as a human being. And it's that legacy that I want to pass on. So that was the first transformative thing, and it occurred in my 50s, even though the event occurred when I was only 8. Men don't know, is my guess. Men especially don't know the far-reaching impact of what their children see as well as what their children hear. For me and my dad, what I saw and experienced was a soldier coming home. What I heard was silence. And I am the first one to tell you that silence can be deadly, and we'll get to that in a minute. What I now know, my dad was the strongest person I ever met. I hope to help you, help the men in your life be the strongest people they can be. I hope to help you, help them break the silence. Have the talks that allow for some vulnerability. But here's the deal. What do men need most of all? They need to know they make a difference. This is what I learned from my dad. The one thing my dad wanted to hear from me was that he made a difference. He wanted to feel admired in my eyes. And I hope I was able to give that to him. I could do it better now.
Absolutely. So everyone was heard always, everything happening for a reason, right? We always hear that. But at that moment, we cannot really see that. Why is it happening, or what's going on? What would be the reason? But when we go back and then connecting the dots in reverse, then we get to know. That's what Steve Jobs said. So it's good to share. And then what did you learn from that? Let's go back and then talk about your father and daughter relationship. As a child and growing up a girl and becoming a mother, what was something like you learned from him, other than you already mentioned the father and daughter's memories.
The best advice my dad ever gave me. And thank you for that question, because I wouldn't have thought to mention this without it. The best advice I ever received in my life came from my dad when I was a new mother. And my first daughter, Katie, not a good sleeper. Not a good sleeper. And my dad suggested I sing to her. Now, I'm not going to torture you all by singing, but let's just say that that's not my strong suit. And my dad said, Jackie, sing to her before she's old enough to become a music critic. And that piece of advice, if you have small children, sing to them before they're old enough to become music critics, and they will sing with you for your entire life. I grew up singing in the car, going across country with my dad. My kids have grown up singing with me, and they grew up on the classics, all of the musicals of the day. And now they still sing with me, and they're in their 40s. My grandkids, maybe not so much, but that's just because I forgot to tell my daughters to pass that lesson on. We're working. But yeah, my dad was amazing, and he was gone most of my life. He was either deployed or my parents were divorced and he lived in another state. He wasn't always around, but he made sure that I always knew that he would be around if I needed him. It's hard when you don't grow up with a dad. I'm just going to be bluntly honest. It's hard when you don't grow up with a dad. It took 2 divorces before I figured out enough of what was going on behind my eyes and between my ears to actually have a stable and resilient relationship. So if there's one thing that I would want everyone to know is just if you are not living with your kids, if you have a dad that you did not grow up with, I don't care how old you are, you're still a kid in their eyes. I'm a parent, I can say that. Give yourself a chance to just sit with them and listen. Encourage them to talk. There's a legacy that you will miss if you don't gather it while they're alive. Trust me.
Absolutely, Jackie. That's a really powerful learning experience or passing to the advice, great advice from your dad. I mean, in a way, it's funny, but it's a really strong, you know, advice. And of course, when you go back and then think at any age, you know, before it's better to teach them or sing. Otherwise, you won't get the chance when you grow up. It's true, very true. I was always wondering, what was went through, or how did those veterans have some kind of, issues in their military bases and everything. There's so much going on, male and female, but especially men out there. So it's quite interesting, but at the same time, it's shocking to hear a lot of stories too. But let's talk about that. You are doing a lot of initiatives, but let's talk about that the suicide prevention show. That's where I see the huge. I mean the what do you call is your purpose. That's what I want to hear more. Let's talk about that. What is it, and then what you're exactly doing? What do you want to achieve from this show?
Oh, thank you very much for asking about that. The Suicide Prevention Show and the Suicide Prevention Movement, which is the YouTube channel where all the episodes of the show are housed, came out of this growing awareness that every single suicide prevention program I could find was not prevention at all, as far as preventing suicidal thinking. It was all intervention. It all kicked in after someone had a known attempt, after someone was struggling with suicidal thinking. They were deemed at risk, or they'd been diagnosed with a mental health condition. And in my mind, that's not prevention. You're not preventing suicidal thinking. They were trying to prevent someone who was struggling with suicidal thinking from taking their own life. Oh, so my daughters and I, came together and we formed the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. And instead of asking, how can we prevent suicide? We started asking, how can we prevent suicidal thinking? And I started interviewing experts on every topic that seemed connected to preventing, to being proactive rather than reactive. And so proactively, I interview parenting experts. I also interview convicts who tried to start businesses and succeeded in starting businesses while they were incarcerated. I interview people who were in residential facilities for troubled kids that were nothing more than abuse centers. I've also interviewed the founder of one of the most effective residential treatment centers for suicidal teenagers in the country. I've interviewed the director of the Suicide Institute in New York City, and I've interviewed healers of every kind and parenting experts, those that have survived raising the oppositional or challenging child, and what they've learned along the way. My mission is to get this information out there, to really start a movement that says suicide prevention starts before you get caught up in negative thinking, before you develop a negative echo chamber in your mind. Suicide prevention is proactive. We want ahead of that curve. You might have a rough day. You might be unhappy. We want you to have the skills and the tools to make sure that unhappy never slides to feeling helpless. Why? Because helpless is a really short drive to hopeless. And at hopeless is where you're at risk for taking your own life. So we're upstream from that, and we interview the people who have the skills to help you stay upstream from that. They're all available for free on YouTube. Please go check them out. We have over 100 interviews up already. And we host the Suicide Prevention Show, the live summit, 12 hours of content in one day every month, the last Sunday of the month. And I really, really appreciate you asking, because it is my greatest joy to be able to interview people who can help you never need to be talked off a ledge. We want to provide the ideas and the tools that keep you from ever going near the edge.
See, always people says that we have to find the root of the cause, not just giving the solution. We had to find the real root of the cause, why it happened, or where did it start. So that's very, very important, and also the holistic approach too. But at the same time, quickly, I just want to ask you one question on the same topic, though. What was the commonality or common thing that you heard over and over again when you have done so many interviews, though?
I have two for you. The first commonality with everyone who has spoken on my summit who is a survivor or who lost a family member to suicide are the 5 saddest words I've ever heard. We didn't see it coming. Those are the saddest words. Here's what I know to be true. You can't tell by looking. You can't tell if someone is struggling with suicidal thinking by looking at how they present in your presence. There's no way to know. That's why we've taken an extremely proactive stance on this. If we could get everybody to just believe one thing, the one thing we as the collective want people to believe is, you can't do it wrong. You can't live your life wrong. That's all you need to believe. That in and of itself puts a brake on negative thinking. So we're going to have a gift for you guys about that, and we'll talk more, but you'll find it in the show notes. I want everyone to know that they don't have to live thinking they've done something wrong.
On the same note, I want to ask you about the talk to stop teen suicide. If you can share briefly what is it and then how that works, and then we will go from there.
The talk to stop suicide is a 4-step script, 4 questions. It's a science-based, very powerful script designed to work with the way your brain really works. It gives you the ability to build emotional resilience in both you and the person you're asking the questions of. And it alerts you when someone needs intervention. And it's done in a way that you're not having to talk with someone where their eyes are already glazed over. So it's an invitation. And we'll be talking more about this, I suspect, going forward. But just know there are easy ways to have the talk and break the silence.
Absolutely. The suicide prevention show and the talk to stop teen suicide. This is a very huge area. So we had to dig more and find out what she's doing or how she's can help, things like that. But we will be having we will have her on our monthly webinar, and we will talk more in detail. So That's very, very important. And also, if you look at the world ratio, the men, 80%, they are the one actually on the suicide, and it's very unfortunate, but we had to talk about it, especially in the teens too. So that's we will do it on the monthly webinar. But before we let you go, I want to ask you, what are some of the simple steps to, that as an individual, as a family member, or as a friend, as a society, how we can help men, you know.
Back to the beginning. You help the men in your life by understanding that the more you push them to open up, the more they're going to tighten up. So instead of pushing them to open up, simply be available. We created the script with men in mind because you're right. Girls might attempt to take their own lives more often, boys die more often. And so we wanted to reach the boys. So we created the invitation. And the invitation is really, really simple. Hey, I'm part of the mission to stop teen suicide. I have a script. I need to practice it 5 times. Can you talk with me tomorrow at 10 so I can practice my script with you? It's a simple invitation that is totally disarming to a man. Why? Because what's the one thing a man wants more than anything else? To view himself as effective, to view himself as helpful. So as soon as you ask a man to help you with something, you've already given him a gift because his brain starts to fire in a new way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like the way you put it. Don't expect, push it too much to open up. That's where everybody, in generally speaking, any humans, they don't want to talk about anything. But give them space or creating openness, some kind of space, then, they feel very safe and they can open up somehow. They had to open up somehow.
Well, yeah, they want to open up, they want to share. They are just afraid. And they're afraid because we live in a day and an age where there's such a thing as image and language that is very demeaning of people who share in public. When I took my TEDx stage, my first script was very tactical. Okay. I'm very much my father's daughter. I am kind of yang energy, very forward facing energy. So my first script was tactical. My TEDx coach, my first coach, called me out for it. And he said, Jackie, you're going to have to go from tactical to vulnerable on the topic of suicide because you have a chance to make a difference. Actually, he said, you have a chance to do something significant. I almost fainted. So dial it down. You have a chance to make a difference. My last TEDx coach, the one who coached me in the 3 weeks before I took the stage, said, Jackie, you can't do this being vulnerable. You won't inspire anyone. You're going to have to go from vulnerable to naked. I highly recommend that you don't undertake a TEDx talk unless you're willing to have your life change, because it has transformed my life.
Absolutely. I believe I can feel that, Jackie, that it is very personal, and also you have come across with those situation challenges, not only your personal, but also your daughter. It's very personal too. And also I can see that it is a life mission, so yeah, absolutely, that if you can save one more life, then absolutely, then you can save a lot of lives. It's a triple effect, or whatever you call it. But we can work together, and there are so many things happening around us, and every day we hear a lot of things. So at least if we can share, if we can do something, if we can create some kind of awareness, we can absolutely save a lot of individuals. Actually, we don't. To my world, I always say, suicide is not acceptable. It's not sad. It's basically not acceptable. every human being is worthless. I mean, it's so much worth, so much potential. So, absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. We will bring her to the next show, like on monthly webinar, and we will have more details on the prevention, suicide prevention show, and the talk. Absolutely. Thank you one more time, and great to have you, and keep up the work. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. This is what actually you can see. See, like Jackie Simmons, she has been doing so many things, but at the same time, this episode is really is a huge to encourage about her works. You can check them out, and I will share more information. I will share the link on the live talk show on our Facebook page, and you can check them out. And thank you, Jackie. And also, this is our goal. Basically, we want to bring an individual and let them share their life journey. And we have a couple of announcements, but as many Canadians knows that our Indigenous communities are in a big crisis now, and they need our help and support. Voice of Men 360 is stepping up and it started donation drive for Indigenous families. If you have used clothes, dry food items, please let us know. We will collect them. Call at 416 356 7414 437 889 8329. Info at voiceofmen360.org, or contact us through Facebook Messenger and let us know. We will coordinate with you. And Voice of Men 360 will be hosting our first meet and greet Saturday, August 28th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Earl Bales Park, 4169 Bathurst Street, North York, nearby Bathurst Street and Shepherd Avenue West. We have a few live shows open up. This is on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Willie Tamil live talk show on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Monthly webinar, first Saturday of every month at 10:30 a.m. And monthly special show, The Unspoken Tears, second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The focus is domestic violence against men, bullying, male sexual abuse, traumas, and human trafficking. And South Asian Men's Show, third Sunday of every month from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Voice of Men 360 and All Bengal Men's Forum will be hosting this show. We will specifically focus on issues that faced by South Asian men and create awareness. Each month, different country from South Asia will participate. Podcast. All of our shows are available on 6 platforms, including iPhone, Google Play, and so on. Monthly men's group meeting only for men by men. Third Tuesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. through Zoom. The next one will be on Tuesday, August 17th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The link always we share it on our Facebook group. Please watch out. Pass the Talking Stick, Indigenous peer-to-peer support group. Fourth Friday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. through Zoom. The next one will be on Friday, August 27 at 6 p.m. Please watch for the link on our Facebook page. There are no limitations with the gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life can participate in any of our shows. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows or willing to be part of our organization and help us directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We would like to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and businesses. Phone number is 437-889-8329. email address info@voiceofmen360.org, website www.voiceofmen360.org. You can find us all on our social media platform, Facebook page, group, and also Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter. And please subscribe our YouTube channel, Voice of Men 360. We want to leave one thought. As you hear whatever we have discussed today, please think about that and also take it personal thinking, and also pass this message to any of your contacts, friends, share with them. So that's the way we can, every one of us can benefit from this show. All right. Thanks a lot. Until next time, see you. Take care. Bye.